So assume that a sample is used to estimate a population proportion P, find the margin of error that corresponds to a sample size 104 with 34 successes at a confidence level of 80%. So let's review the formula that we're going to be using. In the big picture, it's P hat plus or minus Z of alpha over 2 times the square root of P hat Q hat over N. Now, for this particular problem, we're only looking for the margin of error. So we're just going to take this portion of the formula and deal with it. So remember our z-score. So we're looking for the z-score that corresponds to the 80% confidence level, which means that there's a 20% alpha level. So it's a z of 20 over 2. So that's a z-score that goes with the upper 10 percentile, or essentially the 90th percentile. So let's find that in the calculator. So we're going to go distribution, inverse normal. The area is 90%, leave the mean and the standard deviation as 0 and 1 since it's a standardized value, and we get 1.28 standard deviations. So this z-score is going to be 1.28. So then we have to talk about p hat, q hat, and n. Well, let's do n. We know that that's the sample size, so in this case n is 104. So let's make a note down here. N is 104. And remember that p hat is the proportion of successes. So in this case, there's 34 successes out of 104. So it's 34 out of 104, which is, and let's go ahead and turn that into a decimal. 34 out of 104 is 0.3269. So let's call that 0.327. And then Q hat, that's the proportion of failures. So if there were 34 successes out of 104 possibilities, then there were 70 successes out of 70 failures out of 104 possibilities. So then that's going to be 70 out of 104, which is 0.673. Notice those two add up to 100% for us. So this is 0.673. So now I believe I have everything, right? I've got P hat, I've got Q hat, I've got N, I've got the Z-score, so we're ready to rock and roll. So let's plug in everything we know. So now, hope you can still see that. We're going to have our z-score, which is 1.28 times the square root of 0.327 times 0.673 divided by n, which is 104. So let's just type all that into the calculator. So I'm going to go 1.28 times the square root of, I like a lot of parentheses, so 0.327 times 0.673, close that, divided by 104, and we get 0.0588. So our margin of error is approximately 0.05, and we'll call that 0.059.